the suppression, the use of marijuana.
What do we do? It's so hard to just talk to just two of us.
Just talk about something. Wait, look at these cat's paws.
Cat, like beans?
No,
Oh, no, the actual
Just
the little paw.
his little feet.
That reminds me, I was doodling earlier today for the first time in like really long time.
Mm-hmm.
Because then I have this like moment where I'm like, hey, I haven't drawn in like months.
Oh my God.
And so then my brain's like, maybe you should do that a lot now.
Yeah.
So I was doodling because I want to have my birthday party is going to be themed around coloring.
Yeah.
So I couldn't decide if I wanted to pay people on Etsy to let me download their stuff or if I wanted to just try and make my own stuff, which it's still a really big issue in my head right now. But I was doodling things and I was like, what do I like to like color? And then I was like, oh, cute little critters. And so then I ended up making this sleeping cat.
Oh my God.
It's like perfect to look like it's on a cupcake. So I was just going to keep that like and decorate it.
Oh
so
my
then it looks like a
God.
cupcake and then see what other creatures I could do it with.
I'm obsessed.
So I'm gonna give that an honest try over this weekend and see what happens with it. And if not, I'll just have this really adorable cat drawing.
Yeah, no.
So,
That's a win-win.
yes. Yeah, I'm actually really proud of it.
I can't wait to see it.
I'll just send that out real quick on their stories. Be like,
Perfect.
Hey,
Just,
look, this
here you
is
go.
that weird thing I talked about.
Look at the cat.
Oh, that's one of the things. So, not that this is really important, but I wanted us to like kind of give our various like stamps of approval on certain things. So like if there's a cat on the cover, is it actually relevant to the book?
That's important.
And I was like, that would be a really great thing. I just can't figure out how I want it to look.
Yeah, fair.
But I also want to do it with like, do we think this is ADHD friendly or do we think that we just suffered through it?
Yeah.
So we'll see if those things come to life. I've
That's fair.
actually gotten really excited with the radio show because it's pushing me to do a lot more.
Yeah.
So my brain's like, oh, I actually can do stuff.
You can
with
do
this.
everything looks really good.
So thanks. I use stock photos, so everything's free. I swear.
We love free.
I'm actually finding some stuff, so it's exciting. I'm hoping to keep going, make myself a better designer too, because I'm out of practice.
Yeah.
But I like the stuff that I've put out.
Oh, me
so
too.
far. So, yay! Well, I'm Tia,
I'm Jamie,
and Ryan's not here.
and we don't have Ryan.
Sorry, but yeah, his nice little voice.
He's
is not
an
gonna be here.
accountant.
Tax season.
He's busy.
Yeah. Yep.
And we're the ADHD queens.
Yay!
2 of the ADHD queens.
Which is still plural. So we're
Which
doing
is still
great.
plural.
Do you want to talk about the book since it's your book?
I would love to talk about the book. So this month we're going to talk about The Ghost Bride by Yangsze Choo. And Tia is going to give you some background about the setting. This is in Malaysia in the late 1880s. Sorry.
Yeah, I actually was able to find it's specifically 1893.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
which I was like, hey, that's a very specific
That's so specific.
number.
Thank you.
And so Malacca City is the capital, but like I couldn't figure out because history is hard. If Malacca was just Malaysia in general at one point, or if it was specifically just talking about the capital city.
I think it's in this book. I think it was just talking about the capital city.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Because when she's talking about the country, she says Malaya.
That's right. Okay. So yeah, I wish that I was able to plan ahead better because I actually know several Malaysian people.
We do have ADHD though, so the planning ahead is
Planning did not work out. But I did know just like your rough stuff. So there's your Southeast Asian country. So these are the dark Asians that are on islands and not mainland.
Mm-hmm.
They also have this very strong distinction between ethnicities. It's not that far off from how we are Americans versus Asian versus Mexican versus African American, like similar concept there.
Right.
Also because of colonialism and racism and colorism.
Of course.
So they've got their, I know for a fact there's, of course, the Chinese Malay, which is the ones that are actually more represented in this book specifically.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of Chinese references in it. And then there's also the Indian Malay, whose ethnicity is from India,
Mm-hmm.
if you're going to pick up on that. Malays is the other one, which is like the native. The reason that it's important, though, this story doesn't cover like all aspects of Malaysia. It does
Mhm.
really focus in on the Chinese Malaysian experience, because that's what the young lady and her whole family is. So I would keep that in mind. I would love to read more books from like the other perspectives as
Mhm.
well. Apparently this is a huge thing that happens across the world.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm looking for more
Yeah.
options in that regard. But this was still fun. I really enjoyed it. So please tell us the summary and stuffs.
This book is, as we said, set in the late 1800s in Malaysia. So the plot surrounds this young woman named Leland, and her family has lost a fortune. So they used to be kind of wealthier, well off, and her family lost that whole fortune. And at this point where she is this young, kind of beautiful lady, her father gets a proposal to become a ghost bride to the dead son of a wealthy family in town. So this family, it's the Lim family. So the man who she is supposed to get married to is Lim Tian Ching. This is like a concept that she kind of talks about in the end of the book, in like in words, in like an appendices thing, appendix. That this is something that they kind of believed at the time. This is like a real thing that you would do. You could become a ghost bride of someone by like, yeah, some family may just like want to have like a connection. And even though like one of the people involved in the marriage is dead, they may still go through with the wedding just to solidify those things.
And they'll do it even if both of people die.
Both people die.
Specifically so that they can also live together.
Yeah.
In the afterlife.
So this is something that isn't made up for this book. There is some made up aspects, which we will get to. But she gets this proposal to become Lim Tian Ching's ghost bride. And she and her father are like, how dare you?
Yeah.
No, because they don't, like, she does not want this, obviously. And her dad is like, I didn't really think you would want this, but whatever. So she refuses. And then immediately Lim Tian Ching's ghost starts haunting her.
Yeah.
And just bothering her and being like, we're in love. We're going to get married. And she's like, I don't know you at all. She goes and visits his family because they are trying very hard to make her accept this. So they invite her over. She meets Lim Tian Ching's cousin, Tian Bai.
Yeah.
And she is like kind of interested in him. She's like, ooh, who's that? He's like fixing a clock or something.
Yeah.
And she's like, ooh, who's that? And then that's his cousin. And she's like, oh no. And then Lim Tian Ching tells her in one of her dreams, because he's haunting her all the time, that Tian Bai killed him. And she's like, I don't know what to do with this. So the haunting gets much worse. She goes to a medium to be like, please help me figure this out. They give her medicine to use to like get rid of him. And it works a little bit. And then she accidentally ODs.
Yeah.
And now she's in a coma. And
Oops.
spoiler alert, she's a ghost now. So Ghost Bride is kind of literal in this book. So she becomes a ghost. She's kind of wandering around the ghost world, and she meets Fawn at the Lim household. She like goes to the Lim household to be like, well, I don't even know what to do. So she goes there. She meets the lover of like one of Lim Tian Ching's relatives, like a grandfather or a granduncle or something. Mm-hmm. His lover who died before him and is just kind of hanging out as a ghost around the house.
God, yeah.
In order to, she's just like waiting for him to die basically. Mm-hmm. And she's like, Leland says she wants to meet her mother. She wants to go to the field or the plains of the dead and meet her mother. And Fawn says, I'll take you if you have a horse. So she goes to Tianbai in a dream and says, hey, can you just burn a horse for me? It'd be fun, right? Or she doesn't say horse, but she says like a mode of transportation, like just it'd be cute, right? And he's like, yeah, sure, whatever. So while she's waiting for that to happen, she notices a man walking somewhere shady, like with a demon. And she's like, okay, this seems important. I'm going to follow him. She follows him, and turns out that he is a minor official of the afterlife named Erlong. And he is like, hey, I'm really suspicious of the Lin family. Can you maybe go spy on them in the afterlife? Because I think that they're going to cause some kind of war, and I will help you get back to your body. She's like, okay, fine. So she gets the horse. Fawn helps her into the afterlife, or into the plains of the dead. And they split up, plan to meet in 10 days in order to come back, because
Right.
Fawn has to help her back as well. She's kind of tricked Fawn into thinking that she's like this fairy.
Heavenly, yeah.
Yeah, this like, I don't know, heaven fairy thing that she definitely isn't. But she's like, okay, we'll meet up in 10 days. You do your whatever. You have a house here, I guess. So you do your thing. I'll do my thing. She goes to her own home first, because the Malacca, like afterlife Malacca and real life Malacca, have the same exact floor plan.
Yeah.
It's the same map of the same city. It's just that when you go here in the afterlife, it's all the dead people. And if you go there in real life, it's not the dead people. That's basically it.
Yeah.
So she goes to her family home, and the ghost of her grandfather's third concubine
God.
is the one living in the home, and she sucks. And she tells Leland that she sold part of her soul after she died to send smallpox to the home that killed her mother and disfigured her father.
Yeah.
And she did this because there was like drama with Leland's mother.
Something. Yeah.
Yeah. So she says, oh yeah, your mom's not here. She's at the Lim family home. She's like, okay. So Leland now has to go to the Lim family home to see her mother and also to do the spying for Erlang.
Mm-hmm.
So she gets there. She fakes that she came here for a job, and everyone treats her like crap. Everyone treats her like absolute garbage except one cook in the home. That's the only person who's nice to her, who's very kind and sweet. And the matriarch, who she's like, oh, that's my mom, because she's kind of like the right age of like when she died. And she's like, oh, that's my mom. And she's like the worst person ever. She
So much.
treats her the worst, and she treats everybody badly. And she's like, oh, this sucks. I don't like my mom at all. So her real identity as the, potential ghost bride for Lim Tiang Ching is she's discovered, she's imprisoned, but Erlong and the cook, who is the only person nice to her, plot twist, that's her actual mom. Yay.
Yeah, the cook's assistant.
The cook's assistant is her mom and is the only person who is nice to her. And she also reveals in this moment, like, not only am I your mom, but she looks bad. And that's kind of why she thought that, she never even considered that to be her mom, because she looks rough. And she says, well, just like what's her face sold part of her soul to send the smallpox to kill me, I sold part of my soul to make sure you lived. So that's the only reason that she lived without any of the pock marks or anything. So Erlong and her mother help her escape the plains of the dead. And in this, Erlong kind of sacrifices himself for her. Mm-hmm. He sends her on, and he says, I will face these demons that are running right up behind us. She catches up with Fawn, but there's like a little mix-up and they get separated. She enters the real world in the wrong door, but she eventually makes it back to her own home. And plot twist, Fawn realized that that wasn't like a fairy person and that she had this empty body. So Fawn actually has been living for like a week, I think.
Something, yeah.
In Leland's body as her. And she got engaged to Tianbai, who for the first portion of this book, Leland was like, nice, I love that guy. I wish I was going to marry that guy. And now she's engaged to him, but he hasn't really noticed that that's not Leland, which is not awesome. So she makes it back to her home. She sees this. She's dying. Her body is not doing well because she just went up to the spirit world and she has been eating spirit food and all this. So she is dying. And as her body wanes, she calls for Erlang, who, yay, isn't dead. And he breathes strength into her with a very passionate kiss.
Gives his chi.
So he gives his energy into her, and now she's fine. Or fine,
more or less.
She is not dying anymore. So she runs back to her house, and in the middle of a confrontation with Fawn, while Fawn is still in her body, this demon shows up, doesn't see real Leland, just sees Fawn in Leland's body, thinks that's Leland, and snatches her spirit. So now her body's empty and Leland jumps right back in. So she's like, nice. So yay, she's in her own body again, but it doesn't feel right. She like with Tianbai, it doesn't feel right. And just like being alive in her body doesn't feel right anymore.
She's been too involved.
Yeah. So she visits the Lim family and finds out that a cousin is actually the one that killed Lim Tianqing, not Tianbai. And the mother, Liam Tianqing's, sorry.
You're doing great.
His mother tries to kill both the cousin that killed him and Leland by pushing them into a well. Super rude.
Yeah.
Leland helps the cousin get out, but she slips. And so she's down there in a well, and she calls on Erlang to help her out. He shows up, and he's like, hey, BT dubs, you took some of my essence, so now you aren't going to age normally, and that's going to freak people out. And you could just live with me forever, and we could be in love. FYI. Or you can live with Tianbai for however long you want to.
And
I'll
be
still
happy,
be here.
and
Yeah. You'll still be happy, whatever. And she says she's going to think about it. And then the end of the book, she's like, nah, I'm out.
Let's go.
So the end of the book sees her going off to find Erlang to be with him as like a monster and maiden sort of relationship thing.
Yeah. And then it ends. Which I'm not actually upset that it ended there, but we'll discuss things.
Yeah. So first impressions?
So when I was like reading up on it, I was like, okay, this might get spooky. This could get kind of like creepy in there, but it didn't go the like Japanese horror way where it's like super creepy and like I'm not able to read it. So I was glad that this was more of like a playful, fun kind of creepy.
Yes.
And then I read the quote that says that it is the adults version of Hayao Miyazaki's Spirited Away. And I was like,
no,
yeah,
it is.
Absolutely. Got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was a fun vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I specifically chose this one because I have really liked almost all of the books that we have done here.
They go real hard.
But God, last month's was just both of them were so sad. And the reason that I picked this one is because I had read it before and I knew that it was not a downer. And it was kind of fun.
It was.
And it's so fascinating, like the whole world building and everything.
Yeah.
I really liked it. I totally forgot that she ends up leaving with Erlang. Because, like, if I'm going to be real, I read this book like 3 years ago.
Okay.
Maybe 3 or 4 years ago.
More than enough time to forget.
And all I remembered was oh no, I'm a spirit now and I got to figure out how to get back into my body. I didn't even remember that Erlang existed. So clearly I didn't like internalize a whole bunch from that. And all I remembered was that she didn't end up with Tianbai.
Okay.
That was it.
So that's your okay.
That was all that was important to me, apparently. Which is true. She didn't. But there was a lot more. I internalize a lot more of the culture this time. I mean, to be fair, like the first time I was listening to it, I was just listening to it for fun. And so now I'm just like, okay, this is for Malaysia. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
And it was so, there is so much dedication to like the culture.
There
and,
really
like,
was a lot. Like, I was very surprised by how much history was referenced or how many traditions were referenced. And like, it wasn't just like we're going to talk about these in this love story in this area, but it's like, no, there's this Dutch ghost and there's an Indian boy who unfortunately became a ghost, and it was really sad. And you like learn about why they're stuck in these positions. And she also, with the world building, was like, oh yeah, this is not how it is for me because I don't have the same belief system as you guys. And I was like, dude, that's so cool.
It's
so it
so
makes it way more
interesting.
open-ended, so everyone kind of has their own version of things, and so she's experiencing what she would experience. And most of the people that she knows. So that was cool.
It was
too.
She did, and the author reads this book as well.
I had a hard time with that. That's fine.
But I just like, I don't know. I loved that she was like so invested in this, and she made this whole world, but she like made sure to bring all of those things to life. And even just like the fact that ghost brides were a thing, but she was like, I see that. Let's make it spooky.
Let's
like,
do something a little.
I love that.
Let's
actually make it a ghost and not just like, oh, you're married to a dead person for legal reasons. Let's make it be a ghost. Like I really liked that.
So she was like, okay, I'm thinking about this concept, but like, what can I do with it? And then her brain just kind of went wherever, and then she was like, okay, I'm writing this down.
And it was super lovely. I don't know. I had such a fun time with it, and I feel like I loved Leland's character. Because she kind of was, she's not like, I don't know, like an Elizabeth Bennet, by any stretch of the imagination.
No.
But she held her own, she was very like true to herself through the whole book.
That's true.
And, she, at the beginning, she goes to the Lim family home, and she like is kind of dazzled by, because it's big, they're rich,
they're filthy rich,
and she kind of like lets herself be dazzled, and her ama is like, stop it, and she's just like, I'm sorry, this is crazy.
Snacks
oh yeah, that was my favorite too. She's literally just sitting there and everyone is being all delicate, and she's just like, I'm never gonna eat like this again, and she's just like shoving snacks in her face. She's just like, we're going. So yeah, I really liked her. I
had issues with how much she cried. I felt like
That's
it was
fair.
like every other paragraph she was in tears.
She was kind of teary.
But then she had character growth. And so like I really got way more invested. Like I was there for the story building. That got me to keep going. But like I got super invested when she got to the crazy concubine lady who was super bitter about literally every aspect of her life. And then blamed Leland's mom for everything. And I was like,
which was definitely like a stretch. But like Leland doesn't know that. And once she meets who she thinks is her mom, she's like, oh man, she does suck. I bet that lady was right.
And I was like yelling at her the whole time. I was like, that's not your mom.
I know.
She lied. That woman's not right.
It was so obvious. Well, and to be fair, she didn't ever say your mom is the matriarch of this house.
Right.
She just says your mom is there. And she just like sees a lady who could be her mom and she doesn't even like.
The main thing is it's because she's beautiful.
She's beautiful.
And Leland's mom was always described to her as this really beautiful woman.
And it's like, well, she's not right now because she sold part of her soul to make sure you survive.
She's a really beautiful woman on the inside.
Jot that down, Leland.
Oh, I was like, damn, I can't believe you even thought you were related to this woman.
I know. And it was like, I get that like I'm a third person here looking and I'm not the character in this book, but I'm like, that was so obvious to me.
Right.
That was so unbelievably obvious that was not your mother. But whatever.
It's fine.
Yeah. The very silly part, I think I told you this. I had read this book, but I did also forget that it was like sort of astral projection.
Okay.
Because it's not truly astral projection. She is like a ghost, but it is like her being going and walking around. But I was reading a different book.
Oh yeah.
That I had did not realize I had already seen the TV show of. And this was like 4 years ago.
Yeah.
This was easily 4 years ago that I walked in while Alma was watching this TV show, so I saw part of it. And I didn't remember what it was called, but I just picked up the thriller that same week that I started reading this. So the same time I'm listening to this thriller book and I'm like, oh, wait, this is about astral projection, isn't it? And then like I pick up this book and I get to the point where she, separates from her body. And I was like, oh, this is also about astral projection, kind of. It was super weird. 2 books that I knew about the astral projection, but I forgot about it and rediscovered in the same week.
How coincidental.
That was so weird. This is a simulation.
Everything's glitching.
Like, this is the Matrix, for sure.
No, that's the more that I grow up, I'm like, that's more real than ever.
Yeah. And you know what? Fine.
It's a trans allegory.
It's a trans allegory.
So is our lives.
Yeah.
I can't lie. I was immediately not rooting for Tien Bai. Not because like he had like I thought he did anything. I was like, there's no way he killed anyone. That's not. But like I didn't like the way he behaved with Fawn version of Leland. I was just like, that's not my vibe. I was like, no.
Yeah.
Like
no.
she's so like because Leland is such a like naive, innocent,
like
but like
soft person.
Like even without that, when she gains all the knowledge, she's still just like this gentle little whatever.
And it's like, how dare you not realize that that's not her?
Right. I was so pissed. I was like, I would be like, okay, bye.
No, yeah,
We're
seriously. We are not engaged anymore. You did not realize that there was a whole other entity in my body. That's ridiculous.
Mind you, I understand there's a lot more politics involved in that.
Sure, but like,
that's a lot.
Come on. I know. And like her dad didn't notice anything different, but yeah.
The important people did.
The important people did.
I was like, okay. And then, so no, I was immediately switched over to Erlong's side and was like, he's clearly super hot. He's got the mysterious vibes. I've watched enough like Chinese old dramas, like traditional dramas. Same vibe.
Yeah,
I was like, I'm watching this in my head happen. And I was like, they're going to get together.
Yeah.
And then that was the one thing I would say I had a super big complaint about. And it wasn't even that big, actually. I'd say a medium-sized complaint about, was just that I felt like it didn't need to have this resolution where she needed to like wait a period of time to figure out if she was going to be with one or the other.
I agree with that.
I was like, oh, this is where she falls in the well and then she like loses her physical body and she goes to be with Erlong.
Yeah.
No, it carried on for a little longer and I was like,
yeah.
But I was like, okay, but you did go. You did have your steamy kiss and it was great.
Of course.
And I was like, duh.
Yeah. One of my favorite things is that he's just like a minor official, because so many of these like monster and maiden books, like The Bear and the Nightingale.
Yeah, they're like the main god.
Yeah, it's like the god and whatever. And this is just like some dude.
He's like, I'm up there, but like, it's not.
Yeah, I work there. but and like, he's got like more magical powers and stuff than she does, but like, he's not like a god.
Yeah.
He's just like some minor official.
But he's a dragon.
Dude.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like,
he's a dragon.
Every time she wrote scale and was talking about the scale that she was like using to get in contact with him, I kept thinking of like a scale, like a balancing scale. And
That's
I was
funny.
like, no, that's not what's happening. So I had to, like,
can you imagine if she just like had that in her pocket the whole time and she just like whips it out?
Boop, boop. My brain
That'd
was
be so
very
silly.
confused. I was like, wait, why is this sharp and breaking her out of the window? And I was like, oh, completely different image. Okay, got it. But yeah, no, I think she did a really, really solid job, which I was not maybe pleasantly surprised by. Maybe that's it. But there was just so much detail in this, even with how cheesy I felt the reading was.
Yeah.
But that's my personal opinion. And with her being such a naive, like very traditional, stereotypical feminine woman, was that like there was just so much detail behind all of it.
Oh my
was,
God.
Like, extra layered with all these like different windings through the parts of town, and then suddenly there's like this extra part of how heaven works, but it's not heaven, it's more like limbo.
Yeah.
And then, oh, by the way, all the crazy people might have some power here, but also there's a justice system. And
Yeah.
like, we don't get too far into that, but we're like, there's stuff.
But there's
going
like
down.
enough bureaucracy because like in the planes of the dead, like you're supposed to be there for an amount of time.
Yeah, your transition period.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
you're supposed to move on. But then like some people stay for too long, and so like that's what like some people are doing. They're like paying off people in order to stay longer, and
Yeah.
you know, whatever. And it's just so funny that it's just like you go to this afterlife and it's just the same thing.
Yeah.
It's just on a different plane of existence.
You just
But
have a harder time murdering people.
yeah, and like all of these people they all have like servants and stuff. So they have like basically automatons
Yeah.
that aren't people, that are just physical basically robots. Yeah, that
Yeah.
are doing whatever. But then you also have like actual dead people who
Are also serving.
because they're just like, well, I'm here and I can't leave yet and I need money in order to do stuff. And that's ridiculous, but also would totally happen.
Yeah, someone would do that. They'd be like, hey, so we got the side hustle for you if you want to.
Yeah. And it's just like if you are a poor ghost, like if people don't send you enough stuff,
Yeah.
you know, because that's the thing is like, that's like when Tianbai like sent her the horse, he burned a horse figurine with her name on it.
Yeah.
And it's like in order to give people stuff to have in the afterlife, that's what you have to do. You have to burn stuff.
Right. And that's like with Fawn, she had a specific situation. She was waiting for her lover to die, but he left out rice, but just for general purposes. But
Yep.
she always went and consumed it because, well, she died at sea, tragically.
Yeah. So like might as well be for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's like some things can just be consumed by anybody, but some things you have to consume yourself. And then, yeah.
It reminds me of like the Day of the Dead type stuff, but like it's all year.
Yeah, just all the time.
But they do like have rituals and festivals that they also reference in the book about like these ones you specifically do more for, and then like there's less hungry ghosts out there.
Yep.
But it brings about that like, hey, if you don't give them stuff, bad things will happen to them. So you want
Yeah.
to do your best to be this person that people like and that your relatives don't hate.
Yeah, so that more people will give you stuff so that you'll be fine in the afterlife.
Unless you're filthy rich, then it really doesn't
Unless you're
matter.
filthy rich.
Ah.
Yeah.
Don't be a concubine is the lesson I learned.
Yeah, that's fair. Good things
Not
don't
that
happen to them.
They had choices and all of that, but
Yeah.
I was like, she's so angry.
She was so angry.
Mind you, she was the third concubine, so that means that there was multiple wives and then multiple concubines.
Yeah, so it's like, that's not great. That's not a great place to be.
I think they mentioned that she was like far younger than was seemingly appropriate for the guy.
Right.
And I was like, oh, so she just didn't have a good time.
Yeah.
She wasn't lucky with all that.
No.
But like to sell part of your soul to get revenge on the wrong person, essentially.
Yeah, because like, what was it? She was mad at Leland's mom because Leland's mom was...
She got
was
in
like-
her way like two or
Yeah, there was
Two
like
times?
two different men that ended up being interested in Leland instead of her or something. And she was just like, she took it
She
out on Leland,
clearly
which is like
did this
not
on
her fault.
purpose. And
Yeah.
I was like, no, that's not
Even
how
though she
that
was just like a
works.
super nice lady.
Yeah, she was just like, no, guys, just like me. I'm not bragging, I swear.
Yeah.
I'm just like, you're awful
She
person.
was so hateful.
And it makes you ugly. And I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
No, it did.
I've seen some very beautiful people, and then I like listen to them talk about stuff, and I'm like, you're suddenly so unattractive.
Yeah.
Oh, I was wondering, have you seen any of Miyazaki's films?
I took a Japanese popular culture class in
sure.
college.
Okay, so you had to
which
see at
was
least
so fascinating. We watched Princess Mononoke.
That's a good one.
I grew up on My Neighbor Totoro.
That one, I watched it after I watched a bunch of other ones, and so it was
Oh,
very
gotcha.
like, oh, this is anticlimactic.
That's fair. I haven't watched it since I was like a kid, but we had
it
that
is
on like
cute.
VHS.
Yeah.
And then we watched Spirited Away a lot in high school. That was just like one of the go-to for our
Interesting.
band class. It's just like when we didn't have anything to play, they would just pop in Spirited Away for some reason. And then I've seen Howl's Moving Castle, which I love.
Howl's Moving Castle is really good. I was thinking of how they have these weird like puppet things that they use to like carry her. What is it like?
Yeah.
The cart that she's in, the big fat witch.
Yeah.
And those puppets, that's what I imagined every time they talked about the creepy like puppet dudes that were serving without really being there.
Honestly, this would make a really good Miyazaki film.
Miyazaki. I know this is Malaysia. It has nothing to do with airplanes, but can you please?
Yeah, that's fine. Howl's Moving Castle was
dragon. There's
was
a dragon.
Welsh.
There's a dragon.
Howl's Moving Castle was a Welsh book. So he can do whatever the hell he wants.
Hey, so come out of retirement again, because I'm sure you've already tried retiring.
I was going to say, is he trying again? Because, buddy,
every time.
that's obviously not going to happen.
No, it's not real. I think you're just going to have to die writing a movie. It's like, sorry.
Yeah.
But it's going to happen.
Do the Ghost Ride.
Yeah.
It's just like, I can see it.
Yeah.
Whoever said that this was just the adult Spirited Away is 100% correct.
They really
I can see
on the dot.
all of that.
Yeah.
And Leland would be such a lovely little Miyazaki protagonist.
Right? Feminine, gets to be a strong, independent person.
Yep.
It works. Although I've heard that I think it was 2020 is when the show came out on Netflix.
There's a show.
Yeah, I've read not to watch it.
Oh.
Like it's just like real mid.
Ugh.
And I was like, damn, because it could be so
It would be so lovely.
And then I looked up like a photo and it was so cheesy that I was like,
okay, never mind.
Okay, I guess this is not happening.
Yikes. Is it made by Americans? I mean, it's for Netflix, so.
I don't know, actually. Let me see. It is Taiwanese Malaysian Netflix original.
Oh, okay.
So it should have been.
At least it's by the correct people.
And it's co-directed by Malaysian directors. But I don't know. It doesn't look like it came out well.
Yeah.
It didn't have a great reception. When I'm like, I love period pieces. You can do so much with them. And it's, that's not happening.
That sucks. Yeah, I don't want to watch it if it's not going to be good.
Yeah, it looks kind of cheesy. Oh, I hated Liam
Tianqing.
Yes. He wasn't even like haunting in like the scary way. He was haunting in the like
in annoying way.
So goddamn invasive and annoying, and just like kept being like, obviously I'm this guy, so like I'm the guy for you.
Yeah, literally
because
would just like show up in her dreams and just like he like set her a whole banquet and was like, welcome, this is our engagement. And she's like, go away, you are dead. I don't want you. I literally don't know you. Yeah. And he just like saw her one time somewhere and he was like, I want to marry her. And then he died and he's like, still gonna marry her. Ew, go away.
Which also was super creepy because she was initially intended for Tianbai regardless of whatever, him being alive or not. And then he came back as a ghost and decided to torture his mother into making this happen.
Yeah, just literally always showing up to, seemingly he just every single night either bothered Leland or his mom.
His mom just kept getting worse over the entire book. You were just like, she's slowly like
she's doing because she was kind of lovely in the beginning.
Yeah,
she was just like a super lovely normal mom. And then she tried to murder people.
Yeah, that was like, I could see that coming because like your son is torturing you, but like at the same time, it's not their fault.
No.
A lot of women blaming women. We are girls here. Like, no.
For sure.
Which we did get, what's her name? The cousin who ended up killing him.
Yeah, I forgot. Yuyan? Hang on.
I know.
Please hold.
I just listened to it.
Yan Hong is the name of the
half-sister. Oh, right, because she's the third wife's daughter?
Yeah, the second wife is just not there.
And then, okay, yeah. because they mention all three, but the
Yes,
second one
the
just
second
never
wife
appears.
was, I think she was already dead, maybe?
Something. Oh no, is she the second wife's daughter? Because the second wife kills herself.
Oh, yes. She's the second wife's daughter because the second wife killed herself so that no one was mean to her daughter for marrying poor.
Yes, because her daughter actually liked the person she married.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Oh my God, my hand is so red. Look how red my hand is.
Your poor hand.
Yeah.
The one thing I struggle with every time I read, it's usually some sort of like Asian story, is the women doing what they're told, being obedient.
Yeah.
Not to like, it's not their fault by any means. It's just like me as an American and being raised by women who told me that I needed to stand up for myself regardless, and being an aggressive, angry woman. It's so hard watching them just be like, okay, and then watching all of these terrible things happen to themselves.
Yeah.
And like I said, I understand it's not entirely their fault. Like Memoirs of a Geisha, she goes through some real crazy things because she can't do anything because their society has it set up that she can't.
Yeah.
Because if she does, then she's just like a hindrance to the society, and then they just like ignore them. So it's like, it's the same thing with her. But Leland does a really good job of still maintaining that obedience and that filial piety.
Yeah.
Without like losing herself in it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, okay. I think that's helped me respect the story a lot more.
That it's giving for me, it was reminding me of so she's not an Elizabeth Bennet, but she was very much like a Fanny Price.
Yeah, okay.
Who I love. And a lot of people don't respect Fanny Price because she isn't a big, boisterous, whatever.
But I did like Fanny Price from the beginning.
That's fair.
But I'm also obviously weird because I like Fanny Price.
Yeah. But like that was sort of like what Leland was giving for me was just sort of like dedicated, not going to cause a stir.
Yeah.
However, she is going to stick to her guns.
Yeah.
And she is going to make sure she is only doing what she wants to do.
Well, and that's also maybe why the author felt the need to add in that ending portion where she's like, oh, so I am going to leave, but it's going to at least look like I'm not really gone anywhere. I've gone to study or something. And then it makes everyone essentially happy. And then Tianbai still gets to go and probably fall in love with someone else.
Right.
And then, so she still like made it so that no one really got hurt in the end. It might have like sucked a little bit, but not anything crazy. So like the politics all still like landed in a nice little spot.
Right.
And I was like,
but she's still doing what she wants to do.
Instead of just being like, fuck all of you.
Yeah. Bye.
Which is something that I could imagine a lot of Elizabeth Bennet's doing.
Yes.
As she tells Mr. Cullen, I refuse and I will not ever.
Yeah. Basically, you disgust me without actually saying the words you disgust me.
Yeah.
And we love a good Elizabeth Bennet.
Yeah,
but
I love
have
that.
such love. I mean, Fanny Price, I was just Fanny Price when I was in high school.
Yeah.
That was just me. And when I read that the first time, I was like, wow, I feel seen. And just like, yeah, like you really couldn't bully me into doing what I didn't want to do.
Yeah.
And like I was very quiet and I didn't have a personality until I got to college. So just jot that down.
But it's still very respectable
but-
because then you got to the like that age and we're like, yeah, no, you can't.
I mean, it was still,
that.
I was just like, no, just very politely, I'm still taking care of everybody else because I was a pushover, but I was still like, you couldn't force me into doing something that I didn't want to do. And I really like that about Leland. She's just sort of like, just stolid, and just like, I'm going to keep doing my thing and I'm very polite, but also I am going to make this man leave me alone and I am not going to marry him. And
she also felt bad for the way that like Fawn got out of her body. She was like, oh, no one deserves that.
yeah, she still feels bad.
I was like, wait, are you?
Yeah, but she doesn't do anything about it.
She's just like,
she lets Fawn go.
Oh no.
She's like, oh God, oh, that sucks. Bye. I'm going back into my body now.
So I was like, oh, she's like really like genuine. It seemed like this was
Exactly.
a very genuine character that stuck to all of the values throughout the entire story.
Yep.
That's also very hard to do. I've only ever tried writing when I was like a teenager. Could never finish it because I would argue about the plots and everything would just keep going in a circle because nothing would resolve.
Yeah.
But I just imagine having a very difficult time writing the same character the whole time because I would be like, oh, this would change and then this happens and then everything would change and then
Yeah. And it's got to be a little bit more subtle than that.
yeah, I can't do that.
Yeah.
Like there's too many things happening at once. I'm overwhelmed already.
You're valid.
That's been happening a lot recently, actually. I've been stuck in the house with 2 children instead of just one at a time.
Oh, no.
And Koi is absolutely livid about not having the ability to leave the house, really. Because it's freezing cold outside.
Because it's freezing, yeah.
So he doesn't really have anywhere to go. And then he doesn't really do anything in the house because there's limits and restrictions happening right now. But they just have so much energy. So then I'm just like, oh my God, I think I'm autistic. I don't know.
Yeah.
Leave me alone. No one's leaving me alone.
I'm so sorry.
But it's not their fault. And then Victor's home and I was like, you need to take the children.
Please.
I'm like, but he just got home from like a really long, hard working shift. I'm like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I don't want to yell anymore.
You're so valid.
So we just go to bed.
Yeah. Honestly.
I'm so excited
Great.
for tomorrow. Like, you don't know. I'm really hoping. Please, LPS, do not call me.
Yeah.
Although this will be posted after, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah. So, and it's supposed to be really nice next week.
We're getting
I mean,
heat
I say
wave.
really nice. It's going to be in the 50s, which is basically a heat wave. I
That
know.
sounds fantastic.
My birthday's supposed to be 55.
That means it
know.
might not be a blizzard for my birthday.
Maybe.
It has snowed on my birthday before, so.
Yeah, it used to snow a lot on my birthday.
Stupid winter.
Actually, yeah, by the time, no.
Oh, this post.
Right before my birthday?
No, it posts
No.
on your birthday. 27th, yeah?
My birthday is the 27th. This comes out on Tuesdays.
Oh, shit. I'm thinking of the stupid. Okay, there's too many things happening. I'm
Actually, that's a
overwhelmed.
great lead in too. Hey, don't forget to check out our radio show, which happens every Thursday.
Yes, every Thursday.
Which is going to be 2 days after this because this is on a Tuesday.
It is on a Tuesday. We specifically chose Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Like 2 years ago.
Yeah. We've been doing this for 1.5 years now.
Man, that's wild.
That is wild.
Okay, so yeah, this will be Tuesday. Come listen to us
But
again on Thursday.
After,
Woo.
so both of us are going to have a birthday within about a week of when you're hearing this.
Yay!
Very fun.
Yeah.
We're Pisces.
All the way through. I'm
Yeah.
very emotional. This is
Yeah.
why I hate characters that cries, because I cry enough. I don't need to.
Don't at me.
No. Okay, cool. Do you have any other thoughts or anything on
No.
the story?
I think we did it.
Okay, that's cool.
What is our next book for March?
Yeah, so for my birthday month, we are going to be reading The Final Strife by Sara El Arifi, I believe. I will double check that for when we actually make the next podcast. But it's for Ghana, and it is not only fantasy, it is also queer.
Ooh.
So I'm very excited.
You love a good queer fantasy.
I'm trying so hard to find books that I just start losing track of what's what. So I've been taking notes now.
Good for you.
So I have a couple other options for the rest of the year that I'm very excited about as well. So we'll see where we go.
Nice.
Yay. Hold on. This will release. Because February and March are essentially the same month.
Oh, it is also going to be on the 25th.
On the 25th. So March 25th, we will be releasing this, and we will, I guess, see you then, because we're not going to see you. We will not even hear you. You will hear us.
Nope, you will hear us because we are the hosts of this podcast.
We'll hear us next time.
Perfect.
It was great.
No notes.
Okay, I'm calling it. Bye.
See you next time.
The suppression, the use of marijuana.
This podcast was brought to you in part by KCUN.
Yeah, we could say that.
Please tell me you recorded that.
89.3 FM, KCUN.
Perfect.